this week's Energy Facts Chat with me, JP Warren, and
Mike Umbro.
We are covering the electricity spread and where it's sourced in California. Mike, why don't you kind of talk a little bit more about the California ISO website we covered?
Yeah, so we looked at the sources and uses of our electricity, where it's coming from, either from fossil generated sources like natural gas, which it mostly is,
Yes.
or renewables such as wind and solar, and touching on how batteries are backing up, in air quotes, the grid right now, and what we can expect in the future. And then we compared that with the New England system operator to see what the other side of the country is up to these days.
I learned something this morning, and I hope you learned something as well. It's a great tool, great resource to find out where your electricity has been being generated from and why there are swings in prices. You can kind of dial in and learn that tool. So thank you for tuning in to Energy Fact Checks. We're hoping you enjoy the episode and share it with those around you. And hello, everyone. Welcome to another Energy Facts Chats with me, JP Warren, and my West Coast brother, Mike Umbro.
How's it going, brother?
Man? How's your weekend?
It was good. It was full of like researching energy facts, oddly enough. It's just, and baby time, family time. How was your weekend?
It was good, man. It was a lot of the same. It was more research than baby time. We're getting Evelyn this weekend, and for Christmas, and we got a little special surprise coming up that she's not gonna find out about until the day before we go. And I think as a parent, you understand what I'm talking about.
Absolutely. And if she listens to this show, you shouldn't say what it is.
I'm not. That's exactly right. We want to thank everyone out there for tuning in. This is our third episode. The first one we had a little introduction about ourselves, kind of what the purpose of this is. The second one, we talked about the recent decision by LA County on their ban on oil and gas exploration and production. And we kind of talked about what the I guess motivators for that was, and does that fit the realities of what could happen, the potentials of what could happen for banning hydrocarbon extraction and production in the LA County. And today, why don't you kind of walk us through this, and I'll kind of tie up why I believe that this is important. So, Mike, why don't you kind of kick us off, kind of what we're going to be going over today? And these are, again, 30-minute conversations about energy, trying to bridge energy realities with energy expectations. And if you like this, please subscribe, share, because we're just trying to provide a platform for people to understand the concepts of energy a little bit more and to have conversations about energy.
Absolutely. I love it. What a perfect introduction. I think, our last episode talking about the ban in Los Angeles County is a good segue into how fossil fuel production and local production plays into the energy grid and the electricity that we're buying as consumers. And so I mentioned over the weekend, I was kind of looking at energy facts. I was really spending a lot of my weekend looking at the California Independent System Operator, CAISO.
Okay. Yep.
And we have system operators in every state or region. Texas has ERCOT. We were talking a little bit about New England Independent System Operator, but specific to California, it got a little cold this week.
Yeah, I can tell. You got the
my beanie on, or is it a toboggan?
Beanie?
I've heard people say toboggan. What do you say in Connecticut?
What?
The beanie. Is it a beanie or a toboggan?
It's a beanie. I mean, I've heard toboggan, but it's either I'm conditioned to be Texas, or I forgot that we did call it toboggan, but I've always called it a beanie.
Yeah.
I guess I'm a 90s kid. I guess I'm a 90s baby.
Yeah. So it's 50 to 60 degrees out here. So it's cold for us, California. It's cold.
It's cold for us, Texas.
We need a lot of heat in this. Yeah.
So that's a great segue. You're so cozy right now before the holidays. And I think this is important too, because you and I were talking, you sent me some screenshots from this CAISO, which sounds like a great mafioso person, but you sent me a screenshot about this CAISO, and I thought it was very interesting, but also took a minute because, number one, I don't understand it that well, and I've been in the energy industry for 17 years. And so I think this would be a great opportunity to provide this information for people that may stumble upon this, or maybe that not understand kind of where their electricity is being generated from, and maybe have a disconnect on why the price is this much this month versus being cheap in previous months. So I think this is going to be a great introduction to kind of understanding your household energy and use and consumption. So let's dive in. Let me know when you want me to start sharing the California ISO price, and we kind of go from there.
Yeah, you can share it, and I'll kind of set it up with what happened over the weekend. So generally what's been happening leading up to this weather event. So there's a storm in California, and it's blowing across the country now, but it's effectively going to be cloudy and rainy for about a week in California. And so leading up to that, we had natural gas prices rising on the West Coast. So I'm looking at this article.
I'm going to pull this up right now.
Spot prices for gas continue to rally on the West Coast. This was written last Friday, with some California price points reaching $36 in MMBTU.
And that's real quick. That's this number right here. That's that number on the top right here. The 360.
Well, no, that's setting it up. What you're looking at now is the marginal cost of energy at the substations across California.
Okay.
And so what's going into that is this price of natural gas that's been rising, and it's been rising for a number of reasons. One of the big reasons in Pacific Coast Gas and Electric, PG&E, Pacific Gas and Electric, was low on their inventories. So they have low natural gas inventories right now. So they have low supply. So prices are going to be high for Northern California. And then you've got Southern California getting gas from places like the San Juan Basin and Colorado. So you've got a grid that is reliant upon gas at night. And, ideally, the ideal is solar and renewables all day.
Right.
And eventually solar renewables with batteries to cover the nighttime. So that's kind of setting up what's happening. That is
the expectation.
Right. That is the expectation. The expectation is that by 2045, we'll have a clean power grid with a bunch of storage able to bridge the gap of day to night and night to day. So it's bridging that gap that we're going to do right now with lithium ion batteries. So that's kind of the main technology that CAISO is putting on the grid to store energy.
And going back for people that maybe that aren't aware, where do you find this lithium?
Well, the raw product, a lot of it comes from South America, Chile.
Okay.
So you got a lot of raw product in different mines. Then it's sent to China for processing, and then it's made into batteries in China, and then it's shipped over here in the ports, and then it's installed in different areas of California where you're backing up photovoltaic, PV, solar with lithium ion battery. Just think, a commercial system for the grid is going to be like 1,600 Tesla batteries is going to maybe make up like a 10 megawatt pack for the grid. So it's the same technology.
And all this
bunch of EV
as you
battery.
said, Chile to China to the U.S. and all that stuff. Obviously, you're dealing with different foreign regulatory bodies, government officials. So again, it's not sourced in the U.S. So again, that's a reality that all of us are facing right now. So why don't you kind of walk us through this, what we're looking at? And obviously, people, if y'all want to find out what this is, the website is, you can just Google. What can you Google?
It's CAISO.com. It's actually pretty easy. Yeah. California Independent System Operator.
CAISO.com. And this is a great place for kind of look at, again, you look at the prices, the emissions, the supply, where that supply is coming from, and the demand. So walk us through, what are the two main or the couple main factors you want us to look at here and kind of dive into those a little bit?
So every bubble you see there is going to be a substation on the grid where they are quoting the wholesale price of power in megawatt hours.
Okay. So I'm going over this. Are you seeing this on your screen?
So that name changes as you go over it, and every substation has a name. So you're going, and you can zoom in on that to, what's the substation near my house, or what's the substation, in the middle of, where are you at now? You're getting into the Bay Area, Salinas. Yeah. So if there's San Francisco. So you can look at every substation, and that's quoting you the wholesale price in megawatt hours. Now, as a consumer, as a customer, you're either going to have in my case, I'm San Diego Gas and Electric. In the Bay Area, you're PG&E. So you're going to see on your bill a price per kilowatt hour. So to get to that, you're dividing that price by 1,000.
So to get to that, you would
kilowatt hours.
So let's say your area right now. Let's say it's
so down. Yeah, you're somewhere in San Diego. You're kind of by the border right now. But anyway,
you would take that and divide.
You take that $355 per megawatt hour, and that would be 35.5 cents per kilowatt hour.
Okay.
And that is a wholesale price. So that does not include the distribution to get it to a house. Maybe you're adding 10 cents. I'm not a power expert, I should say, but you're adding maybe 10 cents for distribution to get it to your, what it's going to look like when it shows up on your bill. Right. So now at this moment, people in San Diego are paying, by the time it gets to you, close to 50 cents a kilowatt hour.
Okay, so that's about 15 cents more than what is reflected here if you divide all of it.
Yeah, roughly, ish, 10 cents, 15 cents. It depends on the substation. So San Diego Gas and Electric, SDG&E, is known to have some of the highest rates in the country already, regardless of weather events. Maybe only Hawaii is higher, but
is that due to taxes? And what does that do to?
Well, you've got regulations, but SDG&E is very proactive on line burials. So you're burying a lot of power lines in this area for wildfire mitigation, and it looks better in communities. So that's costly. We've also shut in the San Onofre nuclear generation plant, SONGS, up in Oceanside area. So we've shut down a nuclear reactor that has limited our supply, and so San Diegans are paying for the cost of that shutdown in their utility rates as well. So there's a bunch of factors that are kind of going into it. And the utility is always passing along the cost of the consumer. They're not taking the hit on any of these upgrades. So basically, in a weather event like this, I'm going to be paying double what I'm normally paying for this period of time, for as long as this lasts. And I'm already paying the highest in the country. So San Diegans now, you're already paying the highest in the country. Californians, you're already paying the highest utility rates in the country. Now double it, and that's what's going to show up on next month's bill for however long this weather event lasts.
So you're at the you're kind of at the mercy of Mother Earth, of the natural elements out there when it comes to kind of your pocketbook.
Exactly. And I'm wearing this hat as kind of a joke inside, but it's not that cold. This isn't even that big of a weather event.
And you're paying double.
This is the implication.
So whenever there's weather, people can go to this, they kind of see the breakdown, all that stuff. And what's the basis on kind of the window of affordable or acceptable in your house? How about this marginal energy cost?
We're already high, so we should see this. Much, much lower. This should be $149. A megawatt hour or something like that. It's probably triple where it should be. Without this kind of a weather event.
So this is a great tool. I would assume if I'm an everyday consumer, which all of us are, I can go to this and kind of see, okay, well, with this cold front, with this, what is my marginal energy cost for my house to the nearest substation? You can kind of get an estimate on how much increase or decrease your electricity bill will be. Is that correct?
Yeah. Anybody can go on there and be like, wow, I better save some money for next month because it's going to show up. If I've got the same usage, it's going to show up.
And so I want to bring the attention over here to one of these tabs over here. You have demand right here. You have supply, emissions, and prices, which are on the prices tab. We're going to go. Let's go over to the supply. Unless you think we should go somewhere first.
No, I think supply is a perfect spot.
Let's go to the supply. So as you can see up here, there's these 4 little tabs right here. You can kind of check out and kind of get a little snapshot of what's going on. So you can see the demand, the renewables, solar, and wind. Okay.
Right. And you can look at this any time of day. Anybody can look at this stuff any time of the day. And what you're going to notice is most of the time, day or night, you're going to see at least 40% of the mix being natural gas.
And that's over here. That's the supply. That's the big thing. Right. So the renewables right here, that's this little section, correct?
Right. Exactly.
So
Exactly.
this
So the
chart
left is your total supply. Yeah. And the right is, the renewables.
Okay. So let's look at the supply right now. So renewables right
Mhm.
now are making up about 36% of the
Mhm.
power going on right now in California, correct?
Right.
All
Right.
right. And the largest chunk of that would be, so look at this. You
Today
have
it's solar.
you have renewables. Yeah, okay. So solar is 66 makes up
Mhm.
66% of this
Green
36%.
pie.
Okay.
Yep.
Over here you have nuclear, and they
Yep.
should shut down something. So that would have been larger, what, a year ago, 2 years ago, or something like
That
that.
would have been twice as big before songs shut in, which I think was 2013 or 14.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
so that would have been about twice as big
All
almost.
right. And then you have imports. And this imports is what? Is that hydrocarbons? What is that? What's the imports
So
from
that's
what's the west?
neighboring states. So typically, if it's Arizona, Colorado, you could go to their ISO, and then you're going to see what you're bringing in from Arizona, Colorado. North of us, you're going to have some hydroelectric, but typically the imports are gas and coal.
Okay. And the largest chunk of that we're seeing right here, which is about 39.3%, is natural gas.
Right.
Okay.
And if you scroll down, you then get to see the
Oh,
curve,
fun.
the
Okay.
curves. Yeah,
So
exactly.
so starting off at, I guess, midnight, this was
Right.
kind of this was everything, and then this is pretty neat. So you can kind of see through, this is kind of the real time tracker
Right.
on where California's energy is coming from, what the split is.
Exactly.
Okay, so
Exactly. So you
everything
can
we're
see nighttime, or well, you were in nighttime, but now, yeah, that's bad.
yeah.
Right there is 5 a.m. So you're still at nighttime. You've got
Well, I'm waking
mostly
up by then, Mike. You're probably
mostly
sleeping.
you've got 4 times natural gas than you do renewables at night.
Okay,
So
so for those, so that says to me, as someone that's just kind of looking at this, okay, well, natural gas is making a huge chunk of this, so it's definitely needed. It's you got
right.
11,000 right here at whatever time this is, 4:45 a.m. You have natural gas at 11,000, and
Right.
renewables hovering around 3,500. So
Right.
let's get to the morning bright and early. I know you wake up around 9 or 30 or 10.
Yeah,
Let's kind
yeah,
of
my
get
kids sleep until 10,
yeah,
exactly.
let's get to about 8 a.m. when everyone's kind of
Yeah.
getting up and moving around and kind of waking their families up to get on the road.
And the
You
sun's waking up.
and the
The
sun's
sun is
waking up.
waking up.
Yes, so
Yep, yep.
you have so you see kind of. I think this is interesting as hell, man. I'm
Right,
digging this.
right. And you'll see typically, and they call this a duck curve because if you click the upper left where the date is
So
12/12,
you want to
if
go to
you just look
yesterday?
at, yeah, then you can see the full day. They call it a duck curve, and basically the renewables will, make up a larger portion of the mix when the sun's out in California.
Right, right.
But that is, in the winter, that is a short day. You're talking 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. That's not a lot of sun.
Yeah, and
It,
around 3:10 before even the sun goes down, you're seeing kind of a flip between the natural gas and the renewables right there. So
right.
this to me says, again, I mean, I'm an energy a maximus. I love all energy, but I like having energy real conversations. And to me, this says you need natural gas just as much as you need renewables, for especially at nighttime when the sun's not
Absolutely.
shining.
Yeah,
Yes.
and when you look at that natural gas line throughout that whole 24-hour period, we're never below 7,000 megawatts.
And
So, until you can tell me that that goes away completely, you need to have responsible, reliable sources of natural gas.
And you're hearing a lot about you hear a lot about battery technology and battery
Mhm.
improvements, the storage capabilities, and all that stuff. But I'm looking at this graph right now, and we're sitting here almost at 2023,
Right.
and you see batteries at this bottom line right
Right.
here, and that is just that's
It's cute.
yeah. Talk to me
It's
about that.
cute. Well, it's cute, right? It's cute. California has 3,000 megawatts of installed lithium ion batteries on the grid. So we only have a total of 3,000 megawatts. And so what happens is those batteries are drawing off the grid. So they're taking energy. I have no idea how they're economic right now because today they're pulling power at triple the average. So the economics and what you hear people say why batteries are so cheap and so affordable in a summer setting where you've got a lot of hours of sunlight in the middle
Yep.
of the desert and you've got plenty of power availability. the battery operators are going to be pulling or buying power off the grid at like 1 cent a kilowatt hour. In some cases, the price is negative. I don't know how that works, but in some cases, I don't know if they're giving the power, but there's just excess power on the grid. In that scenario, when your power is effectively free, sure, it makes sense to pull it off the grid and store it in a battery. But then when you're looking at this chart of how that power is then put back onto the grid, they're only able to put power on the grid from, what is that?
From like about,
It
in reality, about
kind of fits and starts
about 2:40 until about, what is that, 9 o'clock?
Right. And at that they're only putting on a third to one half of the installed capacity. So they're only putting on 1,000 megawatts. So it's not that efficient. It's not as efficient as they're telling us when I'm looking at this graph. And then it's not, what is that going to power? We're talking about demand at peak times,
and this has the demand right here, right? Correct?
Yeah. You're saying that the highest batteries got yesterday was 1,000 megawatts. Well, the demand is 26,000. So tell me how many batteries we need to back up the entire grid for the entire nighttime every day of the year. And that's the transition, right?
And going back to energy, expectations versus reality. This isn't a question of only if our government put in more batteries, only if they invested more resources into battery development and research, R&D, whatever. This is the realities of what batteries can produce currently today. With the technology today.
Yeah, that's what they're doing today. They're doing a tiny little pimple on the butt of an elephant worth of power. I mean, it's nothing. It's nothing. And the fact that we're going 100%. Now, I'm not saying we shouldn't decarbonize the grid. We should totally try to decarbonize the grid. But in California's case, 99% of the new projects coming through the interconnection request queue to basically put more power on the grid to build out the infrastructure, 99% of the new projects are lithium ion batteries. So we're basically doubling, tripling, quadrupling down on this same technology
and hoping it's going to carry us through.
Yeah, and it's really not, and it's very expensive. And it's not going to bridge the gap. What we need is reliable natural gas storage, clean natural gas production, a healthy natural gas
relationship
ecosystem. Yeah, the whole pipelines, wellheads, storage facilities. Everything needs to be dialed in because, as I mentioned earlier, this article I mentioned says PG&E was low on their storage capacity, and we can put this in the links. But Aliso Canyon, which is a gas storage facility in Southern California, is, quote, saving the grid right now because they had leaks back in the news, 5 years ago or so. But now they've got the system, fully fixed and storing natural gas, and it's saving the customers down here.
Which at the end of the day, that's probably one of the most important things that people need to discuss. What makes sense to people's financial circumstances? Because with everything going on in this world right now, whether it's inflation, job market, all that stuff, people don't want to be spending money on electricity or power when we've been accustomed not to.
Right, and they can't afford to spend triple or quadruple what they're accustomed to, in December and January in the winter months, or when there's a huge demand in the summer months. I mean, it's not sustainable for people's pocketbooks.
Look, we're coming up on about 23 minutes right here, and I do want to segue over to the New England side of things, because we've been focused on California, which I think is such a great little petri dish to focus on, because you see the policies and the politics and decisions when it comes to energy play out. Usually the people that are hit is people's wallets, the population's wallets. So let's go over to the East Coast right now, over the New England side, because you shared this with me as well. And this is something that pretty much every state has, that you can kind of find out where your region, what region where your electricity is coming from. So for those that are curious about this, you can reach out to us, and we can always direct you to your region's electricity grid or power grid, and so you can kind of dive in this yourself. So let's look at the New England section here. So what are we looking at here? It's kind of the same thing. Different
Same
layout.
thing,
Okay.
different layout. It'd be
Okay.
nice if they all had the same layout, but it's going to be a different layout. But it's going to show the same thing. It's going to show 40% natural gas right there at the top. In
So
this case, it's blue. I like how theirs is blue for natural gas. That's nice.
that is pretty good. So okay, let's look over here. The price map over here.
Yep,
This is
yep.
kind of what the California, what is it?
Same
The
thing. Megawatt hour. It looks
megawatt
like.
hour. So
Yep,
you're seeing this
yep.
kind of half of what California is right now.
Right, and it's probably a lot cooler there right now. But yeah, it's about half right now. So
Okay.
so this weekend's crisis is in California. It's kind of funny how that works with us starting this, that this happened so soon into our recording of these shows. But now you look at the New England region, and they're paying half
Right here.
the
Correct.
wholesale rate effectively today what we're paying.
Okay, so now so we get that right here, the marginal energy cost right here. Let's go over the
Mhm.
resource mix right here. You're seeing about
Mhm.
42% natural gas,
Mhm.
22% nuclear. So that's a lot more nuclear than what's going on in California.
Mhm.
Imports, that's from the surrounding area, but they got the Marcellus up there, and then
Mhm.
renewables is only about 8%
Right.
of that. Which again, I mean, you read the current headlines, you read the rhetoric, you read the narrative, and you would assume that renewables has a much bigger impact than that. And
You would think
you're,
so. And
you're
then wait, when you look at the little dotted line that shows the breakout of renewables, we get 37% wind and 12% solar. So what's that, about 50%? And then the rest of it is garbage,
wood,
refuse, wood, and
wood,
landfill.
landfill gas.
So half of
I mean, yeah,
half of it
you're
is
burning
wind and
trees.
solar, and the other half is trash being burned and
Okay.
trees. Yeah.
Okay, so again, you're seeing the main source of the main backbone is natural gas here, and again, you have
Right.
the snapshots here. You have the forecasted demand and kind of the actual where it's at.
Right.
Today's snapshot, the capacity, the peak demand expectations. Okay,
And there's two things that you and I have both explored independently with, Nick DeUlius of CNX and
oh yeah,
Toby Rice at EQT talks about it. How the New England region, we'll probably see it when they get a snowstorm, is very prone to natural gas spikes. And you've got Massachusetts, similar to California. We don't want new pipelines. We don't want to connect the world class gas reserves in our neighboring states of Pennsylvania and Ohio and the Appalachia region. We don't want that gas. We want to be this little bubble burning wood and importing LNG from Russia in the case of Boston
so
to meet that mix.
So let me ask you a question. If I'm sitting up there, if I'm sitting in New England right now, I'm seeing this. I'm like, okay, well, good. We probably should be doing more of the importing. We should be doing more of renewables. We should be doing that. What does that actually mean? If let's say tomorrow we did exactly what we wanted to do today when it came to, I guess, phasing out natural gas, not doing the pipelines, or importing most of that stuff and burning wood and what was it? What was the New England's
Wood,
wind?
refuse,
Yeah. So
yeah,
what
wind.
would the
Yeah.
implications be that? What would be the realities of that versus the expectations?
Well, I think the reality is it leaves your grid extremely vulnerable to either price hikes or blackouts and brownouts if you don't have the power to meet the demand. Same as the West Coast here, and then over there, you're now going to have. You hear a lot about offshore wind in Martha's Vineyard and developments going
Yeah.
on to boost up the renewable supply. Well, they're also going to need storage, right? So now you're going to have the East Coast and the West Coast needing a tremendous amount of battery storage. And, what's that going to do long term to the price of, sourcing the lithium, making the battery, the whole all in price of the
I
system?
would love to talk to you about the life cycle of lithium battery and what it from kind of the cradle to the grave on not just digging it up, and that's going to be another energy facts chats that we have, just
Yeah.
kind of going over the cradle to the grave on lithium and kind of what does that look like whenever you're decommissioned, whenever battery runs out, kind of what's the environmental impact of that, because I think that's
Right.
extremely important for people to have a knowledge about everything, all sources of energy from the cradle to the
Right.
grave.
And I think the crazy part about it is the answers we don't even know yet. Like
Yeah.
the lithium batteries are so new in electric vehicles and very new on the grid that we don't even know what the full life cycle. What does the grave look like? it's kind of unknown. Although someone will model it and tell you they have the price and everything figured out, but we know models are not perfect. No model is.
My wife is.
Exactly. Our wives are perfect, but that's
there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
So I don't even see you don't even see batteries on here.
No,
so
you do actually.
Where are they? Where did you see them in there? I didn't see them.
I thought I saw batteries here. I guess it might fall under what? Other?
Maybe. It's small, whatever it is.
It's super small, but
it's not
anyway.
Big enough to...
But everyone, these are sources, and all of your regions have them. These are sources, great information to kind of dial in and learn where your electricity is being generated from, and what sources of energy it's being from, and what works, what doesn't work, and that's kind of what we're trying to expose here. What we need, what works, what doesn't work, and bridging the expectations with energy realities and technologies today. So, Mike, what are you going to leave us on? You got a meeting coming up this week, I think, on the 11th. Is that
we do? Californians for Energy and Science, the 14th. The 11th was yesterday.
I know.
You're living in the past, bro. You're like too many time zones with all these club events. But we're doing our second one on Wednesday. We've got like 21, 22 people confirmed already, and we still haven't like blown it out to everybody on LinkedIn, or it's kind of just invite only. We're gonna get organized. Yeah, I want us to be really organized and dialed in for when we say, okay, everybody, let's do this thing. And that'll be, I think, January's meeting where we just blow it out and get as many people in as possible. But yeah, we're meeting Wednesday.
And so for those that aren't aware, and we'll kind of wrap this up quickly, Mike, give us an overview on what exactly this meeting's what this group's all about. How about that?
Yeah, so what this is independent,
and how they can find you.
Right. This is independent energy producers and service companies and people related to the energy ecosystem in California, specifically Kern County. We're meeting in Bakersfield at Pyrenees Cafe, a fine Basque restaurant. But we're basically coming together to study these types of topics, and specifically to support the jobs, the economy, the environment in our local community, and bring our data and our information to a formal setting to study it and to provide reporting and detailed science-based reporting to the general public to make informed decisions when they vote on energy policies, really. So yeah, we're excited to kind of get this thing launched, and it's really an extension of what you and I are doing here with the Energy Fact Chats. It's just what's happening, and let's just talk about it and get out there and do it
and have conversations, man. For those that are looking to get in touch with Mike and kind of learn more about this or how to get involved, you can find him on LinkedIn, Mike Umbro, UMB. Just look at the names below.
Yeah.
Find him, reach out to him, say hello. Yeah. And you can find me too, JP Warren on LinkedIn, if you want to be connected to any of the charts that we showed or anything like that. But I appreciate the time, and thank you for everyone tuning in for this. We hope you learned something, and we hope we spread the word. And we're just trying to help bridge the expectations with energy realities. And thank you, Mike. And you have a good week, buddy. Stay warm.
You too, JP. Thanks, brother.